Hi everyone, it's Adrian Leah. This is going to be another channeled reading, specifically a reading of the Morrigan, and I also feel like there is a flow with energy in the zodiac signs. So this is also a reading for Taurus for April 2024. Of course, you can watch it whenever you feel called to, and if you're another sign, feel free to listen and hopefully you get the clarity and support that you're wanting to have in the reading. There are a couple of things that ignited this video. I was visited by the Morrigan in my dreams 2 days ago, and then yesterday I was visited, and the thing that she was saying, because I was pulling out a card from another deck that won't be in this video, she said to go to him. And I thought that was an interesting message. I have a couple other things that I will talk about, so this is mainly going to be the channeled portion of the reading, and I'll pull out the cards towards the end. So the whole video is a reading. Also, today I was with the owner at the pharmacy, and sometimes the patients need help with other things, and so I was about to help the patient, and the owner put her hand out as if to block me, and just as if to say, I'm not finished with you yet. You need to watch this. Because I was going to film a video reading yesterday, and I was getting that you need to get the messages first before doing this reading. And this is the card that it reminded me of. One of the decks I'll be using is my deck, the Faery Tarot. For anybody that's curious, there's goldenrod and nettle. They tend to grow near each other. So the card that it reminded me of is this one, which is the Five of Wands in this deck. And another message that I was getting with the Five of Wands was that they need to learn, or there's a message or lesson in this too, not just for you. And there's like a waiting period of really internalizing maybe past information or things going on in their life. And with the combination of those things, what does it equate to, and what other things get brought up after that? Because there's always questions that come up after you answer questions. I also had an interesting dream. So there was a dream where there's this person that was getting ready to go on a date with this person. And the guy that she was going to go out with was being like buddy buddy with their dad, or what could have been interpreted as their dad, but in the dream, or the feeling was that it wasn't necessarily their dad, but I'll get further into it. And so she takes a while to get ready, and it is for a reason. He ends up, the guy that she's going on a date with, or she's about to go on a date with, they go to an area of the house and there's jewels hanging. Like there's jewelry, there's like some type of um like gems, and telling the person don't take those shouldn't be taken down or anything because they were on a wall. And he was, trying to ease the ease I guess the anxiety of her, not I guess, but and trying to manipulate the conversation in a way where she doesn't notice immediately, but he takes the jewels. And then when she realizes, she tells her father, and her father, she's saying like, um, tell them to hold up before they leave because it's a car and they're going in the car. Um, it wasn't until later that it was revealed that there were multiple people in there. But by the because she's looking, and then she confirms that they're not there anymore, and then they find the car, and the car has the guy, and then it has other people in the car that are murdered, or it was like a accident or something happened where they turned out that was the outcome. And it was interesting, like towards the end of the dream, it was like the father was basically appreciative and like happy. It wasn't in a creepy or menacing way. I say that because of another reading that I did. It was like what you would want a paternal figure to be, um, as if like the energy was like, thank you. There was a couple other whispers. I would, that's what I would say, like some of the voices that come through sometimes. And one specific one was like, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, as well as um, the specific one when I was talking about two archetypes specifically that could have been feminine, interpreted as feminine figures. And the voice that came out was like, I'm not sleeping with the person, basically what it was saying. So you could take that for what it is, because usually when someone like blatantly says something like that, sometimes you're just like, okay. And out of out of I guess maybe the curiosity, I am a domestic goddess and abstinent queen right now. So when that was put out there, I was like, I wasn't thinking anything of that when I was saying my reading, or talking about my reading. There is also a couple of things too that this could be having, this has more of a broader or expanded interpretation, because I get the energy of mother a lot. And so one of the things that has come up consistently too is the some of the storyline of Silent Hill, which is what is it? It's an illegal movie to watch in Australia, but essentially it's a young girl who's in a way reincarnated, and if you watch the whole movie, you'll see why I say. in a way that she is. Um, she keeps having these visions of this place that she's never been to. So her adopted mother, who loves her very much, is saying, "Okay, I'll take you there, and maybe it'll jog up some memories." And it's an abandoned town because of the tragedy that went on there. Not only did the main tragedy happen there, there was also a, a teacher or a person that worked at the school, and she thought her child was, in a way, unethical or not exactly holy because she came from a what was interpreted as a relationship that wasn't like husband and wife because the mother wouldn't reveal who the partner or who she had the child with. And to go further into it, she she finds this or so she has this like ceremony with a couple other people that are now part of this community or that could be seen as like a church community of what they might call it, um to try to do something with the child. So the child is like tied up and everything, and there's like a fire, an accident happened, and then the child gets injured really badly in that. And then um, that's when it starts to go downhill with the what happens. But basically, the teacher is still alive and realizes that her child is like the embodiment of this other child. So towards the end, there is something that happens where there are consequences, and then things start to change afterwards because the truth comes out of what the reality of the situation was. And um, the daughter from the past, she got spared, like her mother was spared, um, I would say. And then the mother was surprised because the mother tried to help but didn't realize what was going on, and then she was too late when she went to the police. Sorry, it's already 13 minutes in. And she was like, "Why did you spare me?" And then the other mother that was talking to her and that brought her daughter there was like, um, a mother is a god in the eyes of a child. And that was like the ending mainly the ending of that movie. And then another two other things that I was getting, and then I'll get started on the reading, is the scene from Moana at the end where she meets the island that's angry because Maui took the heart from the island, took the island's heart, because Maui wanted to please others, and only to realize that he's pleasing these people that are never going to be satisfied. So they tried to, his response was to try to defeat this um, new manifestation of anger from the island because it's not recognizable anymore. And then Moana meets eye to eye with this island, and that's when she says or sings like, "This is not who you are," and gives the heart back to the island, and then the island goes back to sleeping. And then finally, the other vision that I was getting, or scene that I was getting too, was also from a series. It's a war series where the um, soldier meets this other veteran, and he has a niece that is in trouble. Like she needs to be saved, and because the veteran is about to pass away, and so he gives the message to the soldier, and then the soldier like is maybe on the other side of town, and he tries to run there with everything going on. Um, at some point, he does like something hits around him, and then it makes him pass out for a second, and then he has a vision of his sister that he left like when the war started, and she's like holding on to him and saying, "Wake up!" And then he like jolts up and runs again to save this person, the niece that um needs his help. So, and also when a person that I went out with that drank a lot, he smashed my phone. It kind of reminded me of like my part of my dream where there was multiple phones, and it was like instead of going to these multiple phones, going back to the same phone that this person had in the dream, like no, I'll just stick with this one. So those were the beginning visions that I had. And as for the interpretation of mother, it could be actual people, but it could also be because I've been getting like mother, mother, mother. It could be a term that could be linked to it as if, I mean, I wouldn't say it myself like that, but it could be like Mother Russia along the lines of that interpretation too. So it does feel like maybe somebody is trying to get in contact, and there does seem like a little bit of like an anxiousness, or not a desperation in a bad way at all, but it's almost like you're panting, and like the soldiers like, I'm coming, I'm coming. Um, or please be there, please be alive, please be there when I'm there, type of energy that I was getting before this reading. So it's a long intro. I'm sorry about that. So the other decks that I'm using are the Slavic Legends Tarot, the Fairy Wicca Tarot. I'll be pulling out from the Earthside Divine Tarot. Oh my god. Because I just love the deck, and I feel like maybe it will bring a little bit of wholesome energy for this reading, although I do love the the deep messages and the richness that I get from doing these readings too. I feel like there has to do with something like needing to be spoken like there's such a wanting to do that, because sorry for the TMI, I keep like um accidentally spitting, and it's not me. I don't usually I don't usually do that. So let me see what's going on with it. I'm also using the Crow Tarot and the Celtic Spirit Oracle. I feel like some people that watch this are also of like a Christian background, so um specifically during this time especially. I feel that maybe one prayer that you might want to have in your arsenal is the St. Francis of Assisi prayer. It's pretty universal. And whatever strength that you have in it, whatever your mother tongue is. And again, to say it relentlessly. I'm also getting that this is going to be one of the hardest battles. So let me start pulling out the cards. I was saying that because the bag where I keep my rosary beads from my mother is in, it was just like popping out. So I'm also getting indigo, like an indigo child, like your child is special type of energy. The cards that have turned around so far, well, this one popped out. It's the King of Air, King of Swords from the Fairy Wicca. There's a gift from the Fae, the Apple Branch, and the Two of Cups here. These two I turned over with that. So it kind of reminds me of, like, say you're working or you're doing something, and maybe you're used to the job or you know what to do, or maybe in general you save your energy unless you really need it. This kind of feels like a King of Swords that saved his energy until he really needed it or she really needed it for something important. And that's what it kind of feels like for this. It almost feels like needing to, like now he's starting to swing his sword. Um, and it almost feels like um, it's fighting for people or maybe someone too. Because the King of Swords doesn't, it's not a sideline king. Like, he'll go into battle with his soldiers every time. And it it kind of reminds me, I'm sorry, I'm not going to go too into it, but like Dracula, like one of the newer Dracula ones where it goes into, I've never watched the other ones, so I don't know that reference, but it it was on Netflix and it was there's a scene where well he needed to beat the opposing army that wanted to take the sons to join them and he was refusing. So he knew where to get the power, and the power was in the cave where this vampire gave himself up, and um, then the vampire's like, "I'll give you this to warn you. You have to not drink blood for X amount of time, and then you'll be able to keep the power, no problem. If you don't abide by that, you are you're like basically cursed." So that's kind of like that. And the reason why I brought it up is because he was a king that in the movie that the townspeople respected, and then towards like the end when they found out what he did or had an idea of what he was because he was linked to the church, they were starting to condemn him, and it was like basically like, I did this for you, I'm helping you. um you don't have to ask questions about what I did, but I'm not here to attack you. And I like the main thing is like, I did this for you. um so those might have been like, there might have been like sacrifices that needed to be made in order for that to happen. You have the Six of Cups in the Crow Tarot, and this one, it it almost is like a dream state. It feels like visions of the past, or it kind of feels as if history repeating. The other cards, the Death and the Morrigan, which is in here, which is interesting because it's the reading for the Morrigan, and then the Knight of Cups. With the Knight of Cups, it feels a little transmute. It's like a transmutation because there's the moon in the background and the person lives in this hut here, and it almost feels like it reveals another form of this person that wasn't revealed before, maybe of like maybe during the daytime you wouldn't be able to see this person. Maybe um, it's there and it isn't there. What once was is no longer there, but yet it still exists. And that's what it feels like with the Six of Cups too, because it's almost like it's a blur. Like one day it was okay, and then the next day or a couple of months, or what turned out to be a couple of months, it was just like all hell broke loose. Like things are now upside down, and um, it feels like it's not knowing where to turn or how to turn. And I'm looking at like a statue that has it's an apple tree. And it reminds me of another deck that has the three of pentacles where there's these three raccoons and the raccoons are like stacked up on top of each other like wearing a hood. Um like getting the apples. Not getting the ones on the ground, getting the ones that are in the tree. It does feel like a community effort of trying to get something done. And there it is again with the drive. You have the Knight of Wands. There feels like old tactics that are kind of being brought up again. And if they aren't brought up again, there are elements of this where it feels a little nostalgic that comes from the Six of Cups. Because the Knight of Wands is like a knight on steroids, or the knight that's like basically hyped up or drugged up in a way where, like, when you go through the world wars, um, this were the wars that had like the development of drugs to make the soldiers like into fighting machines, and that's what it kind of feels like with that. And we have temperance, and it with that position of the ballet dancer, it's as if there's a ton of weight, or there is a ton of weight that goes on the ballet dancer's toes when she's or he is dancing. And of course, in the beginning, it's something that you have to get used to as you become more and more experienced. The pain is different. So, in a way, there is a healing method to this, or in a way, it does feel like there is kind of a calm after a storm because it's not the initial reaction of something happening in the beginning. Because you gradually train and you gradually dance, and it starts to become muscle memory, not only physically, but mentally too, because you're training your body not to feel that pain. So it could be a numbness that comes out of this too. And Temperance also linking to Sagittarius. In this reading, it is the only sign with a weapon. So it's trying to be able to stay calm in the midst of chaos, which I feel is essential, especially the, when you discipline your mind, and a lot of things become possible after that. This is the Knight of Pentacles here, and there is a sense of independence because, at least in America, it, America being built on different things, some amazing, some horrific. So, with prejudice and racism and the the way that our system and society was built before, and how it's still trying to heal from those traumas that we've created. There is a sense of wanting to have sovereignty, to stand up for things that you know that is right. So from my deck, it's the Hierophant, the High Priestess, the Coven Mother, and this looks like the reverse lovers, which is is fine because it feels like things, what are things that truly are essential to us? What are things that are truly there when all hell breaks loose? Who is that person that stood by your side through thick and thin? And who is the person that left you and acted like you are nothing? So it it's it feels like redirecting your moral compass. And with the High Priestess, you're taking this information and these memories and these experiences, and you turn it into something that is memorable, not only for you, but to other people, because this is almost like an outward appearance, even though the High Priestess is internal in a lot of ways, because what we've been through, what we think, what we love, things that we don't like, uh, a lot of those times it can also be shown in the way that you dress, in the way that you talk, the way that you're outgoing or more reserved. It's like when you first meet a person, or if you jive with them, if you don't jive with them, are you more talkative, or do you just shut yourself off? Are you a person that has been through certain things that make you reject certain experiences? Or are you somebody that keeps it going and not saying that just because you cut certain things off doesn't mean that you can't accept other opportunities? But there feels like there's a lot of caution and a lot of reserve that just emanates from a person or maybe a community that has been kind of closed off. And it doesn't feel like it is and isn't intentional, but there are maybe traditional ways. And if we venture off into another world, into somebody else's mind or into somebody else's environment, are we going to be okay with seeing or feeling or doing those things because it isn't something that is familiar to us? And we have a sheep here. Um, it kind of reminded me of like I'm not gonna go into all these different series that I've watched, but there's this folk video YouTube video channel that it has like a bunch of um little mini stories, and one of them had to do with sheep, and it was a shepherd, but it was really in the folk story it was God. And then there was the shepherd was looking for help, and then the father offered the three sons, and only one of the sons passed. I think it was the youngest, because the sheep were kind of leading him into an unknown territory, and it was up to him to say, or maybe there was like an innocence and just being open to those things because your mind isn't exposed to so many traumatic events that happen in life. And so the little boy, he openly accepted that the sheep wanted to do this. So he led the sheep there, the sheep led him there, while the other sons were thinking practically, or they were thinking based off of what life tells you to do, and they didn't pass the test. So the youngest son was the only one that went with the shepherd, or went with God to serve him for the rest of his life. That's basically what it was. With the Six of Coins, it's an interesting one because it kind of feels like this person, um, it's not like the person that he's kneeling to isn't impressed. I don't think that's what it is. It feels like there is another approach that maybe she would hope for him to have. And of course, as humans, we all have different ways of thinking and doing things, and the things that we appreciate more than others, especially when we're in a partnership. Those are things that we keep in mind. But in this instance, it looks like the way that this person is trying to lead himself back to this person, I think it's making it harder than what it needs to be. Um, and I think that there are blockages that kind of keep telling, or he or she keeps telling himself, I'm going to do this because if I do it the other way, I might look, I might look desperate, or I might look like like stupid if I do that for her or him um because if she rejects me in that way, or maybe she doesn't want to talk to me, or maybe he doesn't want to talk to me, I'm I'll just the method that I'm gonna do is like I'm gonna give her the cold shoulder, make her miss me, and then she'll have to reach out to me. And I'm like, bro, you do you. If that's how you want to approach the situation, I'm not sure how far you're gonna get with it, but maybe it worked for you in the past. But I feel because this looks like there's a high value in this person to him because you see her and it almost looks like she's in a temple or she has like the regal attire and I'm not seeing her give much back if he's not willing to give something that is equally valuable. And I say that because I when I was younger I would take these really long walks because I worked in a plaza that was like an hour away from my house. And I didn't drive at the time, so I'd walk there every time I needed to go to work. And I had two jobs in the same plaza at some point. Not at the same time, but like in my lifetime. I um and then there's this church that I would stop by. And I said my prayer. I'm pretty I guess universal with different spiritualities and religion in case anybody is curious. But so I went to this church and I went to the garden. I really prayed for something that I really wanted. And I gave something that was valuable to me. It was a golden necklace that was my favorite necklace. I wear silver now because I like it with my complexion and my hair. Um, but I love that necklace, and I actually eventually got another version of it because I couldn't find the original one. It was a vintage necklace that was gifted to me. And that's kind of what it feels like with the Six of Pentacles, the Six of Coins. That if you're wanting to have something, you can't just give pennies to it. And if that's all you have, then it's worthwhile. But if you have something that's of value, I recommend putting something that's at the very least, with what you have, equally or more valuable, so you can get something that is even better than what you're hoping for. And you might get the thing that you're looking for, the person that you're looking for, but it'll be more fruitful. So in the future, you have the Wheel of Fortune. And the Wheel of Fortune has a spinning wheel, and it could do different things. If it goes one way, it could be an S twist or Z twist. The point of it is you're twisting the yarn or the fiber one way, and then if you're plying it, if you want to ply it, you ply it going the other way so it twists the other direction so you don't undo what you just twisted. And then that's how you get the twists into, well, in the yarn that you are making from the fiber. So with the Wheel of Fortune, it feels like it tells you to act smarter and so you don't have to work harder. Because if it kind of feels like you're going through the motions of thinking that, man, this guy did this, and then he got his girl like that, so I'm gonna do the same thing. And it's not, if you're looking for the specific person or like the thing in your life, is it gonna really work for you? Especially if the person, like your friend or something, has a completely different personality than you, and um, they're dating for completely, well, essentially they're dating to do the general dating portion of it, but wanting to date each other for those specific reasons of like that are different than yours, most likely, because every person is their own individual. And with this, it's like, how are you turning your wheel? And is it of your to your benefit? Sometimes it's okay to to work backwards or to turn your wheel the other way because it's for a different purpose. And you turn it this way and that way for other purposes. So it kind of feels like you're first learning your wheel because each wheel, especially when they're older or if they're different brands, they have different functions. They have different appearances that one part of it might be somewhere else on another. I mean, they have general parts of them, but so does everybody. And honestly, in general, you can get like the JJ or you can get sausage anywhere. Like it's not a problem. Like humans are an embodiment of where we live. So why are you going for this specific person? And then kind of work from there. There, I feel like there is and there can be a possible foundation. That's why the lovers came in reversed in this card because it it almost feels like you didn't ask these initial questions. Either you jumped into it and then once you realized you found out these parts of them that you were surprised about and you didn't know how to react to them, that's when there were a couple steps back or completely back. Or maybe you knew these things about them and then it didn't have enough structure, it didn't have enough of a foundation for you to do much other than the mundane things or other than the things that you know to do with this person. It, like in a surface level way. I I honestly feel like with the Ten of Wands in this reading, it looks like there is going to be a giant benefit for movement, especially if you're physically moving. Because you see that there's like this light coming from her suitcase, as if something is gonna unravel when once she unpacks her bags. So this might be why the lovers is also in reverse because it might be like the coming together of two people or the coming together of two worlds or being able to figure some things about yourself that maybe your old environment didn't tell you about, like new experiences, new way of doing things, because you never stop growing, you never stop learning things about yourself. Because in the present, it just feels mundane. The Eight of Coins. And with the Six of Coins too, that's like you're doing the same things, and at this point, it's been keeping you steady, but at other points, there isn't growth from it. With the Strength card that comes up with the Eight of Coins, it's almost saying that something is, you'll need to buckle up for this. Because she's on, I believe it's a bison, and there's like a wildness that comes out of it, or untamed territory that comes out of it too. With the Eight of Coins, with the Strength card, it's almost as if somewhere or something or someone isn't who you've ever experienced before. And that's why you're not willing to give up the everydayness of what you have. And that's why you, with the Six of Coins, the Six of Pentacles, you're giving the bare minimum and you're getting the bare minimum or nothing in return because you have nothing to offer. And I'm not saying it's because of your finances, it's the struggle, like even in the struggle or obstacle position, it's the Ace of Pentacles, the very beginning, like the starting point of a video game. Like how are you going to set that video game and how are you going to play it out from it moving forward? I mean, you might not have the whole idea, especially um I played The Sims a lot growing up. And you build your character, you pick your house, at least in the newer ones. Um there's different types of things that you can download that like for your when you're in build and buy and people create these things, and then you have like different types of custom content that you can get. And so it kind of feels like the world is your oyster, and yet it kind of feels like in the beginning of the Sims game you chose like the very first one, very first character, which is, there's nothing wrong with that if you don't, if that's not part of like the gameplay that you enjoy. um or and then just like the starter home and didn't do anything to it, which again is fine if that's what you want, but it feels like in this reading there's more to what you want, but you're not putting effort into that area of your life for some reasons that you can control, some reasons that you can't control. Because with that obstacle, you have the Judgment card. And I feel that with the Ace of Coins, they're wanting to have this startup, and especially with this specific person or area um, that you haven't experienced before, I feel that you might think that other people are judging you, or they're, maybe this person's judging you. They may or they might not be. And if they are, then in the beginning of the reading, I was really getting that to really follow what you feel called to. And I know that's so generic, but um, and then everything kind of just puts itself together. Because if something comes up in your mind, especially consistently, there must be something to it. especially if you like to dream and you like to um, get things in life. And there's ways around it too. Like if you like to spend money, you like to shop, but it's hard or you have to balance out shopping and putting stuff towards like your bills. I would say a loophole for that is to find the joy into spending money by paying your bills. Like, man, I just paid this bill. I'm gonna pay this bill now. Like if that's like kind of your thing, like your um addiction to doing that, and not an addiction in a bad way, but if you like to spend money, like enjoy spending money by paying your bills, then that's a way that you could do it, and you can buy stuff here and there. Then you have this, sorry, this reading is going to be long. I'm just going to have a couple more cards and that'll be it for it. So, how to overcome the obstacle is the Page of Wands and then the Ace of Swords. With the Page of Wands, it feels like a because there's like a peacock feather, like a peacock trying to have the partner want to be with them. I feel that is a way to put it. But again, act smarter and don't work. So you don't have to work as hard. I'm not saying to not work hard. And I don't know, when you flaunt your goods, and the person will be like, oh my God, this person really does want me, or this person really does love me. For the longest time, I thought he didn't give a shit. And now, I mean, hopefully it's not like a long time for you guys if you're interested in somebody and you didn't haven't talked to them for a long time. I don't know how that would be, but maybe you guys are still telepathically like communicating in some way. But overall, um, it might be good to let the other person know that you're interested. And you may be surprised because maybe it's been in your mind for this long and it there's a reason for it. So hold up those. For some, it might be a push and pull or like maybe twists and turns, or some things might work better than others with the Two of Pentacles. You're the King of Swords and the Page of Cups. That kind of looks like a quilted blanket in the Page of Cups, and that is definitely something that takes a long time. And a lot of times, like, people work together to, or back in the day, people would work together to make the blankets. And you have the King of Swords again. One of the movies that's also coming up is like The Little Mermaid, and like the scene of like Kiss the Girl. I feel like maybe both people are shy, and then at that point, like nobody's really doing anything. Um, so there's kind of like the things in the background or that try to ease up the conversation and to have at least something happen. Then I'll pull out some cards here. A lot of different archetypes in this reading. I don't feel that it's like multiple people and getting involved with multiple people necessarily. I feel with the King of Swords, there are multiple duties that are going on. So you have the Two of Swords. That one specifically, I am getting again with like the angel reading that I did with the throne angel. It was like a sense of purpose. So that's what it feels like the swords or the Two of Swords is really concentrating on. It kind of feels more closed off, more than usual, more to self. Um, the Nine of Wands. It it's with the Knight of Wands, it's like the last efforts because this is kind of like a painful card because it's giving the very last ounces of your energy, um, passion for something, almost as if it kind of, in a way, feels a little last resort where, well, if this doesn't work, I don't know what else I would be able to do. But with the Six of Coins, I think it's more of a mentality thing because with the Six of Coins, it doesn't feel like if you're going, well, some areas, especially work, that's where a lot of the energy is going towards. And that could be where the burnout is. But if you're talking about like maybe relationships with somebody, I don't I don't see where the Knight of Wands would be able to be there. And it could be that you put your energy so much into another area of your life you have no time or you don't put enough effort into the Six of Pentacles. That could be what it is too. But there's also a possibility where this person's just like who did the bare minimum or didn't do anything to appease the situation with somebody and is saying like I did this and that and like I don't see that, but maybe there was other things that went on, but I am not seeing that. See the Hanged Man and the Knight of Swords. And it's interesting, like with the Hanged Man and the Knight of Swords, because like the Knight of Swords, like will will go for it. But then with the Hanged Man, it's almost as if the Hanged Man has been in the Hanged Man position for so long. It's like the blood just goes to its head, like oh, this person's head, like in the Nine of Wands. And with the guides, like maybe in the Two of Swords, being like, we gave you so many signs, and yet you didn't go for any of them. And in some cases, you're like, I appreciate the signs, I truly do. But you literally gave me a vision of a flamingo eating a flower. Like, I don't know how to, I'm not getting the interpretation yet. It's going to take me a minute. Just like, give me a sec, or like a minute. But this person has been in the hangman position for a while to a point where it's just like, I don't know how you could stay in that position for that long, to be honest. And I'll pull out one more card. And again with the Moana, like this is not who you are. Like if something was taken from you, like it could be like with the jewelry and everything, or something like maybe your heart was taken, or by somebody that just never came back with it. Um, Sometimes it's like accepting an apology that you didn't get, or again, this is not who you are. You're not this lava monster. You're you're like the island goddess type of energy. So it's almost like with the strength to tame those parts that kind of ate away at you. And that could be where the desperation is too, because it's like somebody is trying to look for their heart. They have their heart, but it's like those situations where maybe there was like a ghosting or something happened where it felt like there wasn't any resolution to what happened. And this is like such a beautiful way to end the reading because it's the Six of Swords. I'm sorry, it's such a long reading. And the beginning was me just like um talking about movies and shows and stuff for like literally half an hour, like 20 minutes. I'm sorry about that. So this is positive movement. Like you could, like my sweet child, all you need to do, let's just pretend it's not without adult supervision because it's a card, and you'll just get on the boat, and that's that. It'll feel much better when you release something rather than to hold on to the pain or the that's something that just kept eating away at you. There's like a softness to it that it's okay. Like once you move forward, all these things are gonna happen, and you don't need to stay in the same place. Like maybe the hanged man is staying in one place. Like there maybe like the song like Man That Can't Be Moved. Like I'm gonna stay in this one place um until my girl gets back or something like that. I haven't listened to the song in a long time, so um it's something like he's not moving from this spot. Like if you're missing me, you'll know where to find me. And I'm like, well, you know where to find me too. So why is it just me that has to find you? So with the Six of Swords, like you don't have to stay in the same spot, and at some point, maybe you guys do find each other again. So thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I'm really sorry for the super long introduction. I had to put that in the title because I know some people are gonna be like, "What the fuck, Adrian?" And I'm like, I don't know. I like to talk. All right, I'll see you. Bye.